Welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. My name is Keelan, and I am here with Nick. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, happy Wednesday. How are you?
Happy Wednesday. I'm doing well. I am not feeling as clever as I thought I once was, but some people understand why after we have this discussion. Other than that, I'm doing well. Honestly, can't complain. It's a good week. The weather is nuts. I don't know why it's so cold for us to live in California. They say it never rains. We've gotten a lot of rain. It's too cold. I don't know where we live. I think we're living in the middle of the ocean at this point. But other than that, feeling good.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Big Mike is here with us early. What up, Big Mike?
Hey
Big
man.
Mike says, "Wow." Yeah,
Wow.
that's a Owen Wilson. Wow.
hmm yeah, he watched it along with us, so I'm sure he'll have some things to say about it as well.
Right, as he should, as we
Yeah.
all should. You know what? Let's just get into what we're talking about, when it came out, and let's get into the discussion. Today's movie, what we will be reviewing, is a 2023 movie called The Strays. 2023 Netflix movie, in fact, called The Strays. If you have not seen The Strays and you intend on seeing it without spoilers, this is your time to hit the pause, save for later button, and go and check out the movie. Come back after you do that. If you've already seen the movie and or you're not really too concerned with going to see it first, but you will sit and listen and know what we're talking about, welcome to the Screen Time Continuum's review of The Strays 2023 movie. It is directed by Nathaniel Martello White. It is a Netflix distributed movie. To my knowledge, this movie was is derived from a play. That's one. However, it is not a adaptation from a book, and it is not a true story. It is an accumulation of four different uh, uh, movies put into one, which are, and this is according to Nathaniel Martello White, the film's writer and director. He cited his influences as Michael Haneke's Funny Games and Hidden, as well as Jordan Peele's Get Out and Us. So those are the things that kind of snowball together as this movie heads downhill, turns into an avalanche, and reaches the bottom. So again, 2023 movie released February 22nd, 2023. It stars Ashley Madekwi, Maria Alamedi, Buki Bakre, Jordan Murray, Samuel Small, Justin Salinger, and a few more faces. Too many people you really won't see. This movie is based around the family, um, and that's really who you'll get through the most of this movie is the family, and a couple of ancillary players will come up through the movie just for context purposes, right? With that, this movie is about, or excuse me, the plot, as said on Google, it goes as such: a light-skinned black woman's meticulously crafted life of privilege starts to unravel when two strangers show up in her quaint suburban town. Um, yeah,
I don't
that
like that
that does
description.
justice. Yeah, I
I
mm,
it already starts off with certain suppositions that are just like, oh god.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of like the Netflix description a little bit better. The Netflix description states she's a devoted mother and a proud black woman, or so she says. But when her real roots start to show, her manicured double life starts to come undone. I like that better.
As much as you can like this concept at all, to be
Yeah,
honest. I don't
yeah.
know.
To an extent, there are some likabilities, dislikabilities. For some, maybe more than others. I don't want to get too much into that. I want all of us to have our own thoughts, and then we're going to tear this shit apart. Uh, so, Big Mike says definitely made him think of Jordan Peele. Yeah, same. I think probably 20 minutes in, I was like, is this just a new version of Us? But oh sorry, not Us, of Get Out. And the trailer made me think it was a version of Get Out as well. Uh with that being said, I don't think there's any other lead ins that we need. Hey Nick, what did you
Yeah.
think of this film? I'm sorry, this isn't a film. What did you think of this movie?
Yeah, the movie, I don't know. I can hear Big Mike in my head saying Wendell and Wild. Um, probably because that was his low water mark, and we may have found my low water mark in this movie. Um, it's funny because there are certain elements of the cinematography that I thought were kind of nice, and it
Mhm,
seems like whoever directed the movie knows how to put together a shot.
mhm,
Um, it's just why I mean, like as far as the story goes, why? To me, it feels racist to not just white people, but to black people and to mixed people. It feels just racist to everybody. And
yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what they're going for, but I don't know. Yeah, wasn't I didn't I was not feeling this one, and now I can get deeper into it later. But
Get
yeah.
into the weeds of it.
Hmm.
I could definitely understand. This is one of those films. So one thing for me was there's five different parts to this movie, right? Um, the first two parts, maybe the first three parts, but the first two parts for sure are so cringe. Like it almost makes you physically sick. To me, at least, it almost makes me physically sick. The very beginning of this movie, um, a little bit due to confusion at first, but yeah, I didn't dislike this movie. I would actually rewatch this movie. Don't ask me why yet. I'll get there. Um, but I don't know how to lead in. Like this is not a movie that I can really describe to someone without giving the movie away. And once you give the little bit of what is in this movie, there's nothing else to grasp. There's nothing else to ascertain. So
No, the movie can
that
be summed up in one sentence.
yeah, I say max maybe 7 words you can really get through. You can tell somebody what this movie is. And that's not always a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing either. So I don't have the layers verbiage to add to it, but let's get into it, man. Let's just go ahead and get into it. I will say there is a lot of consistency in behavior. There's a lot of consistency in behavior, and you don't see, or I don't notice that as often sometimes, but I noticed it in this. Um, oh, I also want to point out. Um, Well, actually, no, I'll point this out as we're talking about the movie because I just realized what I'm going to point out is a scene in the movie. So we'll get to that scene.
Okay.
So yeah, so this movie called The Strays, it starts off with Cheryl. And Cheryl is depressed. She has anxiety. She's going through it. She simply wants a better life. And she's on the phone with her sister, complaining and telling her sister that she just wants more. She wants more. And her sister, who has a baby screaming in the background and sends her other kid to go and check on that baby while attending to her sister on the phone, basically tells her, yeah, everybody wants more. Like it's just a dip. You'll be fine. It's just a down point in life. And Cheryl feels like she can't hack it clearly. Uh, I don't even know what else to say about Cheryl at the very beginning, but Cheryl's clearly having a nervous breakdown. I think that's the easiest way to explain that. Cheryl is having a nervous breakdown. She calls her sister for some assistance. Her sister gives her the best advice that she can. Then the best advice that she can give her is, "You'll be okay. Breathe." And then she asks her when she's going to see her because she is, you know, expecting her over at some point. And she tells her she'll be there at 5, and she's absolutely right. The next thing we see is Cheryl pack a bag and leave a note saying she's going to the hairdresser. On the refrigerator under that note saying she's going to her hairdresser looks like a fully grown man that looks exactly like the gentleman that we'll meet later in this film. And we see a jacket that we'll also see again later in this film. So there were again consistency marks from the very beginning of this movie to kind of tie certain things all in together. At one point during this movie, I do want to say, and maybe I'm not sure if Nick, if you felt this way, Mike, I know you're listening. If you felt this way, at one point in this movie, especially at the very beginning, I thought that she was just delusional and seeing shit.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna give you my honest thought.
Mhm,
When she first starts seeing the people,
mhm.
my mind went to, oh, she's being haunted by her blackness.
That's what I thought. That's the same thing I thought, that she that shit
Okay,
crazy and she's being
just
haunted
making
by
sure
her.
that we're on the
Yeah,
same page here.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I initially was thinking like whoever she was seeing, I was like, that's gonna be like the first boyfriend she had or something like that, somebody who actually meant
Mhm.
something to her that she left behind. And
Right. Wow.
boy, um, so yeah, she left that note saying she was going to the hairdresser. And the next thing we see is, uh, we roll into a overview shot of a suburban town. The sunlight beaming down on the town, and we see a red letter scroll across the screen. It says the Strays, and then it says years later. And we find out that many years later, we meet Neve, which I'm looking and I'm like, wait, no, that I thought that her name was Cheryl. But now she's being introduced as Neve. And Neve is a married woman. She's married to Ian. Uh, she has two children. Neve is preparing for a gala. She's not having any hard times in life. So we start talking about Cheryl, who's having a hard time, and then we get to Neve, and Neve has it all. Everything's great for Neve. She hosts gala. She has friends. Oh, she hosts a gala at her home, so it's a nice home. Um, and she insists on when she goes to see her daughter at work. She insists on questioning her daughter's hairstyle choice, which I didn't exactly understand what she was questioning. And then I realized she was questioning her daughter's edges, her baby hairs.
She was questioning the fact that her daughter had black hair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And her roots were showing. Right. I forgot that
No,
part.
I
Yeah.
mean I mean, like,
Her roots were showing.
Neve wears a white wig, I
Yeah.
mean, white people hair wig,
Yeah.
and she puts powder foundation on her skin to make herself look whiter.
Right.
Yeah.
She's what they call passing.
Right, right, and she's brought on a posh affect to her accent so that she
Hmm.
sounds like she's from, like, the aristocracy.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And apparently she's engorged herself with that lie because everybody else believes it too.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, she insists on having her daughter wash her hair when she gets home. And again, for me, I was like, is it the edges? Is it the baby hairs? Like, it ain't like she walked in and found her with a toothbrush and black gel. Like, what's going on? But you're absolutely right, Nick. That I think I had to go back to that a few times in my head. Like, what the hell was the real issue there? But that had to be the only. That's the only issue. It's not the real. That's the only issue was she saw black hair, and later on, Sebastian does hint at something that makes all of that make sense. So as we see though, Neve is having this moment where she's seeing black people walking behind her car. Or excuse me, one black man walking behind her car, and she gets into an accident and smashes into the back of one of her neighbors. I also thought it was interesting that everyone, when we first saw the first shot, everybody had really nice cars until the neighbor that she hit, who had like that little yellow Ford Focus.
Mhm,
But it's
mhm.
like everybody else was driving Beamers and Range Rovers and fancy cars, and it's like, oh, but not that neighbor. The neighbor she hits has to be driving the worst car. This way, it doesn't really have to be discussed.
Hey, it's a come
And
up for the neighbor, though, because
yeah,
she's the one that got hit, so
oh, super come up for the neighbor. Super come up for the
she might
neighbor.
have a Mercedes by the end of this.
Hmm. And I mean, hey, because Ian, I was gonna call her Cheryl, Neve's husband or Neve's wife, Neve's husband, he's an insurance agent, so he could take care of all of that. And I was questioning, so is he an all around insurance agent? Because they were talking about things being severed when later on in the movie we have a phone call come into the office and they're talking about things being severed, or what's something fully severed. That doesn't sound like car insurance.
I don't know. I don't
Just
know. He sells insurance and is wealthy. That's all you need to know about him.
never met a wealthy insurance man either. Oh wait, never mind. We live in 2023. I'm lying. The ones
Uh,
that don't
e
work in offices, they make
this
money.
every character except for Neve is a mannequin.
Fair.
They're not real characters. They don't have real motivations. They don't have deeper desires. They're not fleshed out at all. Neve
Oh,
is the only character
mhm.
that has any dimensions to her.
Every person in this movie is made to serve Neve's storyline.
Yeah.
Both storylines that Neve has, but let's get to where that both comes up. Oh, right. Also, something I made sure to note is that Cheryl is hiding inside of Neve. I wanted to make sure I note that, and I was glad I noted that because when we get to the end of the movie, it comes full circle. Um, but yeah, Cheryl is Neve. and Neve is Cheryl. The problem is no one knows that except Neve Cheryl or Cheryl Neve or
Well, and the mysterious people that keep
Sharif,
popping up out of nowhere, which nobody sees, but
except her,
then
apparently.
yeah, but then the movie lets you know that that was all just a trick anyways, so
Yeah, and what I realized, it wasn't that no one was seeing them; it's that no one was seeing them in the capacity in which she was. So something that I had to really realize is Neve's racism towards blacks or anybody that reminded her of blackness was so deep that even if she lived in an entirely racist Pleasantville ass town, it was her inability to accept who she was that overshadowed what everybody else was going through. Like no matter how everybody else felt. Like even in the situation with her and Ian, her husband, when they were having sex, and he goes to reach for her hair, like, babe, girl, you are wearing a wig. He should be able to pull on that. Get that thing up off of here now. Let's get to the real. But she kind of pushes him off, and we never, for a long time, the audience, we don't even see her hair, her actual
mm,
hair. You know,
yeah.
that was something very deep because I think they were trying to play into the you don't touch a black woman's hair stigma. Um, while that is a real thing, I don't want people to think that I'm acting like it ain't, because it is. Don't you don't run that risk. But that's not what Neve was going through. Nobody was trying to touch Neve's hair. Neve simply didn't want to acquiesce to the request of her husband, who later let her know, "Hey, I like your natural hair. I like what it used to look like." Um, I thought
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean, the only reason that there's any racism is because of Neve. Nobody else
He
actually
was the only
except
racist in this whole movie.
she's the only I'm like, the husband loves her. She obviously doesn't give a shit about him, but he loves her. He
He
loves
wanted
his
to be married to
children.
a real black woman. And he knew he wasn't getting the real black woman, which is why he would let
Right.
her know, like, hey, I like the real you. I like your hair. I like these. Tell me about your past, right?
Mhm.
Like, I fully believe that Ian wanted to marry a black woman. Like, he would have married Macy Gray if he had a chance.
Maybe. I mean, it or that, like, he just yeah, he didn't ask for her to just whitewash herself.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she was using him as the scratching post to get the color off.
Mm.
Um, Big Mike says, I was thinking that they were all props for her as well. Yeah, yeah. I mean, from the beginning of the movie, everything, including the sister on the phone, everybody is literally just Neve, well, Cheryl, Neve, Cheryl. Like, whatever she wants, she gets. Um, and a lot of it doesn't make sense. A lot of it doesn't make sense. For instance, what was the red pill? Was she really just red pilling herself like as a psychosis thing? Like, hey, I take this red pill and this red pill makes me this person. You know what I mean?
What are people who live in the suburbs?
Oh shit.
Conservative.
I caught it.
Yeah.
I caught it.
They
It's the
literally
red
put
pill.
a red pill in this movie, which is so my eyes almost like
Wow.
jumped into my brain.
Can
Yeah.
I be honest?
Yeah.
I was in denial. You had
Yeah.
to say it out loud for me to verify that
Yeah.
I did see that, and that is what I thought. But I was sitting here like, if Nick says something else, then I know it was just me. Because I give myself the honest credit of I know that sometimes I overplay these scenarios and I'll add something to them, like, oh hey, maybe it was this. But you saw it too.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's literally she sedates herself with the red pill every
Mhm.
morning, and that's her
Fox News.
medicating her blackness away, and yeah,
Implausible.
yeah, it's just it's silly. Mike's got something else here.
Mhm. Mike says he may have preferred Aisha Curry more than Macy. Hey. That is probable because she's still, she's somewhat passing. But no, what I meant when I say that, Mike, I actually believe that Ian would not have mind. Like maybe, you know what, towards the way Neve makes it seem, uh, she made it seem as if Ian probably wouldn't have been attracted to her if she was more black. But I don't believe that for two reasons. Um, he knew his wife was batshit crazy.
And
That's easy.
she didn't display like total blackness in the first 3
Hmm.
minutes that we saw her either, you know what I mean? Where it's like, what like, what are we talking about here?
Right.
She was just on the phone with her sister. There wasn't like
Yeah, there was. She wasn't like this overt, super out of.
no,
And let's be clear, being black isn't like ghetto, or that's not what being black
no,
is.
but,
But
like, she was
sh-
just pretty much the same person, it's just that she was
different
wearing less nice clothing.
accent. And that's the question I had, but it made me realize that even if she had stayed where she originally was, the person that we saw in this movie was who Cheryl probably was too, just with a little more attitude because that's who she thought she had to be. Like I realized that what we saw in this movie is somebody, a chameleon.
Mhm,
We saw someone who just adapts themselves to every situation. And when shit gets tough, they just vacate.
mhm,
You know,
definitely,
um,
yeah.
a runner, a track star. You know, she gonna run away when it gets hard. But sorry, songs. But yeah, it's Neve hated herself so much that nobody else could hate her. I think that's the way to explain it.
Nobody else did.
No, nobody else did. In
Nobody hated
fact,
her.
um, really. So let's see. We got the. Sorry about that. So in fact, nobody else hated her, even when she's mean to her daughter. Right?
Mhm,
She sees ghosts and she's spooked and she crashes into people. They're still super nice to her. She tears up and or hides her son's little Wayne poster. They act as if they don't know what's going on. Uh, she's clearly bothered by the mention of a black woman, and then she's reminded by her son that she's black, and even that is a problem for her.
mhm.
Did we already say that the only racist in this movie is Neve?
Yeah,
Okay, making sure we said
definitely.
it.
Yeah,
Making sure
the only racist person is Neve. Yeah,
making sure we said it.
yeah.
So yeah, she just lies about everything. Like she's a complete liar. She lies to her husband about her past. She lies to her kids about who she really is. She lies at the school about her credentials. Like, how do you become the deputy head of an entire school, and you're the theology course leader? Theology with no credentials and no referrals? That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the movie saying that if you can pass as white, you can get
You can
any
get anything.
job. You can
Yeah,
get any job, and you don't have to be qualified for it.
yeah,
I mean, like, ugh, God.
yeah. Sure.
I thought we were over this. I thought we were on the, the hill out of this valley.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You thought we were rolling downhill with this one. I
Yeah.
can admit there are times in our society where I too feel that way, and then there are moments where the narrative is like it is in this movie, um, and you realize that it's not us. It's not the general people who are keeping a lot of these stigmas going. It's the
No.
people who need to use them for entertainment value.
And it feels that way. It
Hmm.
definitely feels that way. Feels like it's just I mean, like, to me, honestly, like, forgive the crudeness of the term, but it felt kinda like race porn a little bit,
Ooh,
where
yeah.
it was just, like,
Ooh, what you mean?
like, "What are we doing here, guys? What are we
Right.
doing?"
And when you say that, one of the things that man, yeah. So one of the key points, Neve and the scratching of her scalp, right?
Mhm.
Like, and I have to say it this way, and it's not that I haven't been around other women, but I know, most women that I see when they scratch their hair, they don't mind. They'll move hair, they'll get in there, they get a little, and then they readjust it, and they're good, right? Black
Mhm.
women, however, no, 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 no. They're not sticking no fingers in their hair and messing up this strand and that strand, and it's gonna be left and right and all that. No, no, no. We'll get in there, get that one little spot, and
That one spot. Yeah.
get a little pin or something. Get in there. All right, cool. And that's if they don't have a beehive under a wig. That's just they don't want to mess up their hair
Mhm.
because it ain't going back after you stick your fingers in it and you scratch a little bit, even if you just a little jiggle jiggle.
Mhm.
But through this entire movie, you see Neve doing that, and we know she's wearing a wig, and we know she's wearing a hair hat. Shout out Corey Holcomb. Um, she's wearing a hair hat, and she's wearing a skull cap under that hair hat to cover her actual hair.
You know
My
that
thoughts
that's gonna
were
be an itchy scalp, man.
1000% because you all the sweat buildup. Now, I also hear
Yeah.
that people do that to promote growth, but What I was fearful of is that at some point in this movie, she was going to take off the wig and take off the skull cap, and it was going to be like matted and nasty.
Right.
And I was going to be, I'll admit, I would have been pissed off if that happened.
I think they tried to do that in as much as they could without it looking disrespectful.
That's a
I
fair
think
way to
that
put it.
that's I think that that's the way they went with that because they did try to give her kind of like obviously her hair is not done when she's takes the wig off and stuff and
Mhm.
but they didn't want it to look disrespectful, I think. So,
Right. No, you're
yeah.
absolutely right. They didn't want it to look disrespectful. She's disrespectful enough, so they didn't have to do too much work. Like the character that was written, disrespectful enough, so they really didn't have to do any extra work on that end. And that is a great point out. Also, I love how her son knows how racist she is. Like Sebastian is probably like my favorite person in this movie. Him, the two sons, actually, I'll say that. They're my favorite people in this movie.
Oh wait, Sebastian, you mean the murderer?
No, no, no. The murderer is Carl.
Hmm? No, Sebastian murdered a child.
Oh, snap. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, he murdered somebody.
Yeah. Okay. He can't be my favorite because he is. Dang.
Big
It was
Mike
it
says
was
he's
for that
current.
reason that I couldn't say Carl might have been my favorite. But I guess I might have to just write it out. The two sons might be my favorite.
Yeah, Big Mike says he's slapping his head right now for his itchy scalp. Yeah, we saw those braids, man. I get it. Yeah.
Right? Got your Coolio going. Um man, yeah. I in fact I did. I forgot about that. And I just remembered
The movie forgot about that too.
the movie glossed over that so quick. Like I expected that to come back full circle. Somebody was gonna round back and grab up Sebastian, and now he's gonna be questioned for it or something like that because he wasn't with the team dinner, you know.
Hmm.
But I think the reason he wouldn't be questioned is because he wasn't at the team dinner. So the assumption is that he was nowhere near. Even the coach tried to, patsy it off like, oh, he's probably just out getting some ass. Like, give him a break.
Hmm.
Um, and that's where we I wanted to touch on when she sees him speaking to at the time all we know is he is the janitor, and we see Sebastian speaking to the janitor, and it's almost as if Neve not only uh no, it's not almost as if she's being racist blatantly in the hallway because she's whispering to Sebastian instead of just, hey, what you doing? Go to class. That's it. You're the head mistress and his mother. Go to class. There's nothing for us to discuss.
Yeah.
Sebastian, psst, Craig, Craig. What? That's what it
Yeah.
reminded me of. Like,
Yeah,
did you
you
go
gotta be
ask me if I could
careful.
record the Mac?
There's a black man just 10 feet from us. We gotta make sure keep our voices down.
And seeing the look on at the time he's Marvin, seeing the look on Marvin's face, it let me know like, oh wait, he's not a ghost.
Yeah, I mean, they did make him seem like he was a ghost for at least a good 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
first few times you see him, they
First two
definitely make it
times.
feel like
The-
he's a ghost.
yeah, the diner
Yeah.
and the rear view, you definitely don't think he's a real person.
Yeah.
And the first time we see Abigail on the side of the road, you don't think she's a real person either. They seem like you were saying earlier, like fabrications of her mind for the things that she's run away from.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think she's even trying to believe that that's all it is,
I think so too. Yeah. I
which
think she
makes her even more
tries.
batshit crazy.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Because yeah, and well, we'll get to that, but yeah, she didn't recognize anybody, which was even crazier. But no, yeah, she scolds Sebastian. Oh, but she does also after we hear the terrible singing by the choir who signed the name of the song and then sang the song. I guess I didn't go
That
to
was
private
creepy.
school.
Yeah. It was,
Like,
yeah. I don't know.
oh yeah, listen, I was waiting for them to throw on them robes and we don't see feet moving, but they're moving across the floor. You know, real scary. But
Wait, we also need to say
yeah.
this is not a horror movie.
No, was this okay? So yes, I could not find any categorizations for this movie. I was like, this has to be like a drama or a thriller because it's supposed to be derived from a stage play, right?
Mhm.
Or apparently he made it into a stage play and then it ended up becoming a movie instead. But yeah,
It said
I don't know
something
what
about
genre this falls
horror.
in.
It said something about horror on IMDb when I looked it up, but
Do
no.
better, IMDb.
The only time it becomes a horror is when her wig comes alive and starts crawling on her hand as she's
For
like
4
scratching her head.
seconds,
Mhm.
which honestly was the most intriguing part of this entire movie.
I guess, yeah.
Well, only because I thought they were going to play more into it. I
Mhm.
thought that was going to come back, and it's like, oh snap, her hair is alive.
Oh, the wig is alive.
Well, it seemed as if those were her roots coming from under the wig.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Right.
Because she had
Right.
hair. It's not like she was, chicken head
Another
man with no
another
hair.
ham-fisted metaphor about her suppressing her blackness, huh?
Yes.
Jeez
Yes.
Louise. How
'Cause how
many of
many?
those can we fit into a
I was
movie?
just about to say, because how many times can you make it clear to us she don't want to be black? It's clear from the beginning of the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Matter of fact, it's clear from the trailers.
Yeah, there's no subtlety here. There's definitely
Mm,
no subtlety, no nuance to this.
mm. Yeah. There's some surprises, but yeah, I wouldn't say that it's not even a subtle surprise. But you go, oh shit. But that's about it. Um, let's see. Oh yes, my favorite part, or one of my favorite parts, is when you realize you ain't shit, mama or headmistress. She finds Sebastian smoking out in the woods. He flicks the cig, and when she starts scolding him, he's basically like, "So, ooh, you're the headmistress." Like just a total ass to his mom,
Yeah.
and rightfully so.
I
You can't lie to
suppose.
somebody for so. Well, I'll explain. You can't lie to somebody for so long and expect them to know who you are, and when they start seeing cracks in who you are, expect them to tell you who they are.
Yeah, I guess. I
Even
don't
your own
know.
kids, because
There's a
how can
lot there's a
uh,
lot going on with this too. I mean, the fact that the kids are like
oh, they're affluent. Let's be real clear.
oh, they're very affluent, but it's also like it's their non-whiteness is also being suppressed, so there's an anger with their
Right,
mother and
right.
yeah, so
Well, a point that was made to me about that. What was pissing Neve off the most is she moved to this suburban community and she's hiding from her blackness, acting as if it never like she's not black in any way. Everybody's telling her, "Hey, you're black," but she ain't feeling it. I know some people in real life going through that, but her children are living their truths. They only know who and what they are. They don't know this lie, fictitious, roundabout way of doing things. They don't know how to code switch. And the only thing about Neve is Neve code switched and never switched the damn switch back off. It's like
until it
you
was
do
time
know
to
this
whoop
ain't
her
life.
son's ass, which I
Yes,
appreciated.
that was the first break. That was the
Yeah,
first break. And to
yeah.
me, probably the first right thing she did in this whole damn movie.
It was. He was back talking.
He was back talking. He was being rude to Pop. You 4 hours late coming in the house in the middle of the night. Boy, you better be lucky she used the chancla and not them hands.
She did.
Shoot.
She used yeah, she used the sandal. So there you
Mm-hmm.
go.
Slipped
Big
off that nice soft house shoe.
yes, sir.
Yes, we never wanna. Oh, hey, what's going on, Miss Diane Carter? Diane Carter says, yes, Neve wanted some baby hairs too. She had some baby hairs and she wasn't
They
utilizing
were
them.
there. They were there.
She
Yeah.
had a toothbrush up there she could have used for them baby hairs, but she wanted to keep them under that skull cap. That's her ass fault as we
Under
say.
that Uma Thurman wig.
That Uma
Yeah.
Thurman.
In Pulp Fiction. She was just saying she had the Uma Thurman hair.
Oh god.
Yeah.
You know that reminded me of another thing I wanted to bring up. I disliked how I don't think her daughter's name Mary. I don't think Mary realized that that really expensive shampoo is dyeing her hair.
Oh, like yeah.
That's what keeps her hair gold. Because
Right.
you know, we saw her roots, and then she washed her hair that night, and we ain't seen no more roots for the whole movie, or for the whole 2 days. Because really only 2 days in this movie. We
Oh.
cycled back through the 2 days, I think, or
I'm
no,
under
three
the
or 4 days.
impression I'm under the impression that Neve makes her wash that her hair with that shampoo to
Yes,
lighten her hair.
yes. I
Okay.
think it's
So
like
that's
a stripping or a bleaching type of a shampoo.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she makes her daughter do that because
Hmm.
she wants her to have blonde
Blonde
hair,
hair. Yep.
blondish hair.
Yep.
Yeah.
She wants her to have Goldilocks locks.
Right. I mean, it was very pretty, but
Agreed.
like
But it to me, it's only pretty if that's what she wanted. And
right.
Deborah, seemed like she wanted to go. She didn't want to be a
Didn't
brunette
seem like
either.
she had much of a choice in the matter.
No, she
So
did.
yeah.
She liked eating shrimp with a lobster fork, so she didn't want to go back.
I mean, shrimp and lobster is amazing. So
Agreed. I'm not knocking it. I just didn't see any lobster. I only saw shrimp, and I saw her eating it with a little fork, and I was just like, oh, that's who she raised.
hmm
So let's see. Oh, so we see Mary is on social media as she's in the back seat and she's watching a black woman hair videos and tutorials. We also hear hip hop music playing, and I think the hip hop music and the sight of Abigail on the side of the road triggered Neve into seeing Cheryl in her best looks in the mirror, and she did not like seeing Cheryl. In fact, she almost got into another car accident. She almost got into another car accident. And I realized in hindsight how important it was for them to see Abigail as they were heading to Emily's house, because we find out much later that she didn't Mary was not going to hang out with Emily. She was going to hang out with Abigail. Um but as
Isn't
they
her
get
name
home,
Dion?
her name is Dion, but at the time they only know her as Abigail.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So
Right, right, right.
we don't find out
Right,
about
right, right,
Carl and
right.
Dion's point of view
The movie
right
does
until
this in the middle of the movie where it just
yes.
like, oh, now we're gonna give you the big Ocean's 11 reveal, like you've been
Man,
waiting for it for
that's
3 hours.
exactly what happened.
Like, no, I wasn't waiting for it.
I knew it was coming. I just
Yeah,
didn't know their name.
right. I knew that they were somebody. It's just that, and you didn't need to retrace the entire thing like, oh my God, that's where the daughter was going. That's who
Right.
she was texting on the phone.
As soon as you got introduced to them, it all made sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a click. Oh,
30
now we
minutes of
know.
this movie is recanting the first 30 minutes.
Yeah,
The second 30
from a
minutes
different
is
point of view.
from a different point of view. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I like the second point of view better, honestly. So for me, seeing it again wasn't that bad because I appreciated more so Carl and Dion's point of view versus Cheryl Neve's point of view. Also,
Yeah.
there's three people in this movie and an accumulation of six names, two each.
Right. Um,
So
so
yeah,
we should really get to that because that's where the movie actually
yeah,
has
that's literally where
anything.
we're moving into.
Yeah.
So the two things that happen right before that, before we get into that, they have a friends over for dinner, and they're talking about a podcast that Zach listened to, and they're talking about white flight. And white flight, for those who don't know, is described in the movie at least as when white people leave urban areas to go to the suburbs. Zach thinks it's because they lack culture, and Ian says it has nothing to do with culture, but he doesn't explain himself, which makes me think, what you mean? Do tell. I would love your point of view, Ian. Please tell us. Married to the
I don't
black
know
woman
what.
who
Yeah, what
ditched.
statement were they trying to make there?
I think they were just trying to make it clear that this is a discussion that is had across all communities. However,
I look. I
mhm,
as an as a self-admitted white person, I have never ever ever heard the concept white flight being spoken
I have
by
only heard it
anybody.
on like podcasts and group discussion type shows. I've never
Yeah,
heard it in
I've
real life.
only ever heard it when somebody is trying to caricaturize another person on in a movie
Yeah,
as a racist.
yeah, and I think that's
Like,
what Ian was deflecting. Like, look, we're not doing this. Like,
yeah,
we're just not
well,
gonna do this.
obviously, because he has a black wife.
And black kids.
Yeah,
Which is why,
exactly.
and that's why I wanted to highlight that because it let us, in my opinion, let the audience know we know where Neve stands. We know who Neve Cheryl is, but now we know for sure where Ian stands. And
Yeah.
that's why everything that happens with Ian from this point all the way through made sense to me. Like it seemed like that's who Ian was. And
Mhm.
yeah.
He's just a dude, man. He's just a guy that has a pretty stable life that
Yep.
wanted a family.
That's it. That's all he is. He
That's it.
just wants a
Yeah.
family. And it doesn't matter who it's with,
No.
but the person he happens to be with cares who it's with.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, then she sees a black guy walking up, but then we don't see the black guy. We end up seeing Mary walking in with her hair braided into French braids, straight to the back, five to the back, Allen Iverson style. And everybody's flabbergasted. Ian's the first person like, "Oh, you look nice, hun. Isn't that right, hun? Right, right, babe? Right,
Hmm.
babe? Wake the fuck up. Oh, yes, yes, hun. It looks marvelous, marvelous." And of course, she knows her mama. She know it wasn't fed
Oh
or it
yeah.
wasn't right. And her mama ain't stupid. Who did this? Oh, Emily did it. Girl,
Those are
Emily,
tight braids.
tight. And ain't no,
Yeah.
I watched the YouTube tutorial for the first
Yeah.
time. Them things will
No.
be slipping.
Yeah.
Like somebody knew how to get grip and they know how to use that texture that you got to your hair. Even after it's been permed with a regular shampoo. So yes, at the gala, now we arrive at the gala. Also, yeah, we find out that the gala, or yeah, we'll get to the recant. We get to the gala, everything's going well, and Neve is there, but she looks up and she sees the guy and the girl, Marvin and Abigail, are now at the party, and they're just staring. They ain't saying nothing; they just standing, right? Abigail has a smile on her face, so you would think to yourself, like, there's no reason for her to be mean. However, she gets on mean. She walks through the crowd, and when she's walking through and she's grabbing on to everybody, I'm immediately like, oh, you're gonna bring so much attention to this, aren't you? I didn't know she was gonna bring that much attention to it. Like, she blew up. Like, listen, when multiple black folks are in an argument of any sort, and the Caucasian people in the area or in the room are saying, "Hey, yo, what's going on? Let's separate this." You got to know you're wrong. Because most people, whether you're black, white, or in between, when two grown folks start arguing and fighting, typically most of us say, "Hey, hey, back up. I don't want to be no parts of this. Let them handle this
Yeah.
shit." You see what I'm saying? So
I thought they were going to be invisible.
I thought so as well too. I thought it was going to be like a us type of a thing at that point.
Right. Or Smile, because we just
Sorry,
watched Smile.
Smile. Yes,
Hmm.
Smile. Definitely like Smile. Damn, Smile. Yeah, Smile was better than this. Um,
Yes.
So she starts barking on them. She's moving them, telling them to leave, trying to force them out. And Carl, who is no longer Marvin, clicks in and he just yells, "Mother!"
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's passion right there. That was a here we go. So it blanks out. And now we are introduced to Carl and Dion. We see their journey. We see them arrive. We see them get their hotel. We see really their what we see is we see their not their humanity. That's not what I'm trying to say. We see their anger streak. We see their disposition as they're
We
setting up
see
kind of.
Carl's kill bag,
Yeah.
um, that has a bag full of tools that look
Carl
like
looks like a
you.
contract killer.
Yeah. Um, and Dion seems to be a little bit mentally unstable.
Definitely.
Um, yeah.
I think the what they're trying to lead into there, especially with what we end up seeing a little later. I think what they're trying to say there is because they were deserted as children, they basically became orphans and they had to do whatever it took to get by. Even if that meant, some unsightly things that you probably don't want to repeat. And I think that's really what they were trying to hint at, but we didn't get
God.
enough information on
No,
that.
this movie fails at that so hard, man.
Yeah,
This
they give you a
idea.
lot of lead-ins.
So we find out that Carl and Dion are
Eve's
Neve's origin
Cheryl's.
Cheryl's children. Cheryl's children that she abandoned 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And they are coming to town to find her. And we think that it's going to be to reconnect, but then Carl has a kill bag, and we see there's kind of this ominous tone to it. So it's possible that they're coming to kill Cheryl.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they wanted to. I think this was a test, right?
mhm.
I think they wanted to reconnect, but the kill bag was the backup plan.
Right.
At first, I
Right.
wasn't even sure if Dion knew about the bag, and then we find out no, this was clearly a discussion, and this was the backup plan. If she disrespects us in any way, it's going down. And we're
Now,
about to
I
get
have a
to how she
question.
disrespected them.
I have a question for you about this, because this is what one of the things that struck me as profoundly racist
Hmm.
was Dion and Carl represent sort of like her black roots.
Hmm.
And what do Dion and Carl do when they arrive in town? They befriend the half siblings, and
Yep.
then one teaches the other how to kill, and
Hmm.
the other teaches the other how to drink and
Hmm.
party.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mhm.
had an issue with that as well. I also had an issue with the illusion of they weren't smoking cigarettes; they were smoking weed, and
Yeah,
then they clarified that they were smoking weed when they
yeah.
were on the rooftop. Yeah,
What I
those.
mean, like, what are we doing here?
Well, we're saying that the inner city youth are a detriment to the suburb,
Violent
and that
and degenerate? Like,
yeah,
that's crazy to me. That's
yeah,
crazy.
and it's reinforcing Neve's perception of black culture as a threat.
And
You know,
there is no, I mean, like, and this movie calls black culture a threat because the
yep,
black characters, like,
to all the nasty shit, even though they're
yes.
literally the victims the whole time.
Yeah. Uh, I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know.
yeah. Then I at least I felt like if they were gonna do that, they could at least have a moment of emotion where the two of them get so emotionally wound up. It's like they're just bawling, crying, like, "Why did you do this?" Like,
Some
but they don't.
humanity would have been good, but there was
Right.
none.
But there was none. And at that point, you're really just making them cold hearted killers. I was kind of saving that tank till a little later, but
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. And I did see the same thing. If I'm being honest, I expected the kid on the basketball team who was me mugging. I expected him to be the reason that everything went left. Like everybody got violent and things of that nature. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, he actually was a victim. Nothing, he
Right.
did nothing to really warrant what happened to him.
Yeah, except for bump into the kid whose mom is the head dean. You know what I
No, no,
mean?
no, 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 no. It wasn't even him. He picked on him in class, like in the hallway. He was talking shit to
Yeah.
him, and he was supposed to be a star on the team, except Sebastian hit the shot, so he was
Right.
envious of Sebastian.
Sure.
But they were being kids. Like the bumping into him to me wasn't even like a thing.
No, no, it was just him picking on him because his mom is the head
Yeah,
dean.
yeah,
It's like, when you have a kid who has a teacher as a parent, you pick on him for it,
yeah,
and it
exactly.
puts a target on your back. But then it becomes like, "Oh, no, this guy's racist, so let's kill him."
Crazy. And Sebastian had some size on him. I'm pretty sure he could have worked kid
Oh,
or
yeah, he
gave
would
him
have
a
been
run
fine.
for it.
I mean, he plays basketball. He's, obviously in shape. I don't think that he felt threatened by that kid very much
No, I don't
anyways.
think he cared about it. It was all Carl.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was all Carl. Carl, like again, Carl and Abigail, or Carl and Dion, excuse me, have a severe mean streak. Like when Dion's considered talking about the meanies, it's like, so your kids have DID like you have DID. Got it.
Might be. Maybe.
Maybe that might be the wrong diagnosis there, but I am under the impression that Cheryl has some hereditary mental illness, and it has definitely passed on to her children.
I mean, maybe if they wanted to make
All
a
four
case
of
that
them.
yeah, if they wanted to make a case that she's like a psychopath, then maybe. Um,
I thought they
but
did make that case.
I mean, they kind of do, but they don't really explicitly say that that's what's happening
Fair.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, over the other message, which is that the black people that enter her life are this avatar of degeneracy.
Hmm.
That's like that's what the movie's saying.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what the movie's saying, and it doesn't even give them the out of it's more her fault than their fault for not being there to raise them.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I think that's what they wanted us to feel, but you got to give us that. You can't expect everybody to be Keelan when they watch a movie. You know what I mean? Because we know I can't help it. I do the extra work sometimes.
There'd
It's
be a
just like,
lot of
nah, that's
note
not what they were
taking.
doing. Yeah, yeah, there's always a lot of note taking, but I
Mhm.
enjoy it. Um, so yeah, so we fast forward, everybody gets kind of friendly, but then we see the mean streaks of each person. Abigail looks like she was about to murder Mary in that hotel room. And for a minute, I thought Carl was going to push Sebastian off of the roof until he pissed himself.
Yeah.
I think that was the only time we saw some humanity out of Carl is when Sebastian pisses himself. Then he goes, "It's all right, bro. Like you're done enough. You passed. Like you're good. Like damn, kid. Like that's all it took. Like all right, I ain't got to do too much work on this one." Um, and so yeah, they That's when they go and they break
But
the
what
face of the
is
guy or they kill the guy.
okay, so
Mhm.
what is it? What are their motives?
Well, that's what I was saying. So I truly believe that their motives were to come, get to know the family, and actually try to be a part of the family. And at a point, Carl no longer even wanted to do that. He just wanted out. I believe he really just wanted out. I think he didn't want to do anything to hurt anybody except for Cheryl. And at
Mhm.
that point, hurting Cheryl would hurt Sebastian, hurt Ian, hurt. You get what I'm saying? I think he went to that mindset, but now Dion is so was that so at that point she's so tightly wound up on, you know, no, I gotta let's go see mom. And then Mary invited them to the gala on top of that. I think when when Mary invites them to the gala, that changes Dion's perception of what's going on.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it really, I guess the movie is saying that the turn happens after the gala
Mhm.
when Neve goes and pays them off, right?
Correct. So after the gala and the whole blow up that we already discussed, Cheryl back. Now we back to Cheryl, and Cheryl is Neve because Cheryl is back. Neve has been exposed, and she admits to Ian, she admits to the kids that she deserted uh, uh, Dion and Carl. After she admits that she's deserted them, and she basically starts playing the victim, Ian, being a good husband, decides, you know what, this ain't the last talk about this, but let's kind of get some normalcy on for a minute. Let's kind of
Mhm.
get back to what we're doing.
So, but the problem is though, is if the movie's saying that, like the turn happens with Carl and Dion when Neve tries to pay them off to go away.
Yeah,
But Carl had already brought a kill bag.
yeah. Again, I think it was the backup plan. No, I think it was the backup
I
plan
think it's
if
the primary plan,
Dion for
man.
him. Yes, it might have been the primary plan for him, but Dion was the primary plan. So I think for him, if my sister's good, we good. You push this too far, I'm gonna kill all y'all. And I think for Dion, it's she accepts what he has to do, but she doesn't want it to happen. So it's like, all right, let me get my fun in and see if I can change his mind.
Would have been nice to know more about what they
Yes,
were
I would have
planning on
loved to
doing.
watch them have that discussion. Like, let's watch them through the planning. We saw them get there. We saw everything else. I wanted to see Carl and Dion sit and discuss what they were going to do, what their contingencies were. If things went awry, why do they leave? How do they leave? What is their backup plan? All of those things. And I would have liked to see them have that discussion. Um, on just a brother sister hangout type of deal. It doesn't have to be like, oh, hey, let's make this sinister plan and close all the doors and the blinds and sit in the dark and talk about it. Like, no, let's just be brother and sister. And this is how easy it is for us because this is where we've been pushed in life. Um, so after she tells her family that she deserted Carl and Dion, we then see Carl and Dion sitting at a diner and she goes to meet them. Now, again, she lied and blatantly played victim to her family at home. Then she goes to Carl and Dion and lies to them. The first thing she lies to them about is saying she is a proud black woman. I almost vomited. I was so like I was like, what? Like, I am a proud black woman. You lie. You lie like rug. But that's what she told him. And then she starts to play the victim with them about how life is so hard and I don't know. And I love that Dion said, your life was hard? You're stressed out? You have a lot going on? Oh, okay. I understand. That was the first time I was like, "Ooh, shit, Dion just got mad." Because we saw what happens when Dion gets mad. She's not a external type of a person. So,
So, but Cheryl's justification to her abandoned children is that their father was abusive, but we have
right.
no indication that that was true.
The only indication we have of that is him calling and saying, "Cheryl, pick up the damn phone." And it's like you just ignored three of his calls. Of course, he's irritated by now.
Hmm.
And then the fact that you think you left them with their father, but you left them with your sister. And if your husband was that abusive in that moment, when you left them with your sister, you knew who your sister was. You know she ain't want no kids. That's why she ain't have no kids. Because the kids in her background weren't hers.
And
They were
unless the
yours.
father was in some sort of state custody, there wouldn't have been an option for the aunt to give them away.
Nope.
No, that's
And
not how that works.
right, and seeing as how it definitely seemed like her and the father weren't necessarily on good terms, even though they were clearly living together, and she was a food server, and they're living off of credit cards, according to the sister. So it's like, yeah, no, you didn't leave them with their father. You left them orphaned. Like they're telling you. They're telling you what you did. You don't have to ask them. You don't have to go inquire. They're telling you you left them as orphans. You're looking
Mhm.
at Oliver Twist and Huck Finn. That's what's
Yeah.
going on here. And she didn't like it. It's just Cheryl Neve, whatever we want to call her at this point. I think she's Cheryl right now. It's just nasty how she chose to try to play victim so much so that even when she was explaining herself and they ask or Dion asks, so what's next? Do we move into the big house? Right? Jokingly, of course, but still, like, yo, but for real, what's next? Like, we here?
Mhm.
And I see her clutch her bag, and I was like, she better not pull nothing out this damn bag. That's all I could think. That's all I could think is she better not pull anything out of this bag. And then she started talking, and I was like, she's about to pay them off. And true enough, she pulled out two checks in one envelope, £20,000, basically hush money to leave.
Mhm.
And then she goes back home, and she finally removes her wig for the first time. We see her actual hair. Um, she plays as though her children are lost souls and they were just seeking their identity, and that's why they came. But they're gone now, and nobody's
Everything's
believing that
fine,
shit.
and the movie's over. Yay, we're done.
Right. But
Uh,
nobody's believing it. Nobody's
no,
believing it. Like they pull her
no, of
card
course not.
immediately and they ask like, so what's going on with them? Why they just leave? Um and Ian settles it that again, he makes it clear we will be talking about this more. Let's all get some rest.
So is Cheryl only running away from her families because she can't stand her blackness?
And poverty and yes, a little bit of everything, but essentially
Because
that's what it seems like.
yeah, the movie makes it seem like she's trying to run away from her blackness and she'll just do this again eventually because she can't run away from it because it's
Yeah.
part of who she is.
Yeah. And
Um,
she needs a particular set of circumstances to red pill herself mentally.
well, yeah, she literally needs to take red pills so that she forgets that she's black.
Mhm.
Um, oh my god, I can't believe
Sure.
I just said that.
You didn't create the
This
concept, you
movie
just
made me
exposed it.
say,
Yeah, you didn't create the concept, man. Nobody
"Wow,
anybody's mad at you right
holy
now, they just
moly,
haven't seen this movie.
wow." Literally red pills.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, all
I
right.
I had to rewind and pause it because I thought I was tripping.
Mhm. I caught it and I was like, "Oh, screw you, movie. Screw
Mhm.
you. I see what you're doing."
Mhm. Um, so then we get to our fifth, and I actually failed to go through each of our sections really quick. We had the beginning of the movie, the Strays, and then you have years later, and then you have Carl and Dion. After that, you have Cheryl, which is section number 4, and now we're at section number 5, which is the family reunion. And everybody sleep in the house, and Carl and Dion decides to come. They come in black hoodies, all blacked out. And we see now
With the kill
Carl has
bag.
his kill bag in his
Mhm.
hand. And they go in the house, they zip tie the doors, which not so well. I was kind of confused. I thought he did a much better job of sealing the house, but whatever. At this point, it's only one way in, one way out anyway, right? Um, but we basically see them go in and they hold the whole family hostage because it is Abigail's birthday. And I realized that Dion's name is also Abigail. Like Abigail is her nickname alias, but her name is Dion. Notice they did not continue to call Carl Marvin. That was not an alias for him. It was or it was an alias for him. It was more of a cover up though. Also, really quick, tipping on the alias of Abigail for Dion. She asked Mary earlier what was her alias. I didn't catch it at that moment, but it came full circle later when I started putting the Abigail and Dion thing together. Like, oh, that's what she meant. Like in her mind, you have to have this.
Mhm.
Family knows Dion, but everybody else knows Abigail. I thought that was very important to the mental health of what I was trying to figure out when it came to Dion or Abigail. because she was very comfortable in both names. She was very comfortable in all concepts, but if she didn't get her way, you'd see her start cracking at the seams.
Yeah, like her
And it was
mom.
like a jealousy streak.
Well, it's just her. She's her mother.
She's definitely her mother.
Hmm.
She's definitely her mother. Um, so that's when they find out. Abigail comes, and Ian, Sebastian, and Mary learn that Neve's real name is Cheryl, and now even they're all like, "What? Who?" And they're like, "Oh, you didn't know? Like, yeah, yeah, her real name's Cheryl." It's like, no, no, it must be a misunderstanding. It's like, how crazy are you? You still lying? You still now you're trying to lie about your name?
Yeah.
Like, come on. But they also learn now because they didn't know that she went to pay Carl and Dion off. So when they find out that, when Ian finds out that, he's like, I want a divorce. Like, I want out. I want a
Yeah.
divorce. I want to get out of here. And we go through all the things that Marvin says he's gonna buy, or that he would like, or excuse me, Carl says that he's gonna buy, and I can't remember what most of those things were, but the most impactful thing that was gonna be purchased to me was by Dion or Abigail. She was gonna purchase Cheryl. She was buying Cheryl back. She wanted her mom. That was like that hurt because we know she ain't getting that.
Yeah, I guess if this was done in earnest, I would feel maybe a little bit more impact on that, or like, oh wow, that's such a pungent moment.
Mhm.
But the fact that they're both psychopaths that
Yeah,
are
a little
bordering
too
on
cold-hearted in my
they're
opinion.
bordering on murdering everybody.
Mhm,
Like you just I couldn't find myself sympathizing with them
mhm.
because they're just too cartoonishly like now it's time to kill you.
Kill
You
time.
know, like
It's the
but
kill time.
let's order Chinese food and play Scrabble first, but I'm gonna kill you after
But you
that.
know I'm gonna kill you after this.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny because we realize only two people died, and the only two murderers in this entire movie are her two sons.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's all Cheryl's fault. So yes, as you said, they play Team Scrabble after a bit of discussion. Cheryl is back. You saw Cheryl. You know they had a little. She had vomited a little bit, but you saw her click. If you saw that kind of like calmness come over her really quick, it's like, oh, oh, Cheryl's back. Like she's and I thought she was in fight mode. Turned out she was in flight mode.
Mhm.
Um,
Make sure everybody's cool and calm. Wait for your exit.
man,
Yep.
man. Now this is where that consistency comes back full circle. Now again, that jacket that I was talking about earlier, that jacket was the jacket that Carl was wearing. But that picture on the refrigerator looks like an adult version of Carl already.
I think it was the dad's jacket.
It was definitely the dash jacket, but and that was the point. What I was gonna say is, I believe that the illusion there for the photo we saw was that Carl looks that much like his father. So for
Mhm.
her to say she didn't recognize him,
Yeah.
it was an obvious lie.
Yeah,
So even
most
when she's
likely.
made it seem like she didn't recognize Abigail, like, no, you recognized, or Dion, excuse me, you recognized both of them. That's the scariest thing I had to come to terms with. Like, oh no, she knew exactly who she thought she was seeing. When she was cornered by him in the bathroom and he said, you tried to get me fired and you just deserted me and Dion. They made that again seem kind of like it was an aberration of some sort, like he wasn't really there.
Mhm.
So yeah, fast forwarding back to that, um, Cheryl's back, and Carl notices. He notices that Cheryl's trying to have control over the situation, and he immediately doesn't like that shit. And he seizes control again, and he forces people to do different things. He takes Ian to the gym and makes him, lift more than a bit because he said, he could push a bit, but he made him lift more than a bit. And after he gets tired, he stops spotting him. And now Ian drops all the weights right onto his face. Now, this is me. If you were lifting weights and you're familiar with lifting weights, what do you guys have, clamps on each end? Because you could have just leaned this
Tilted.
way
Yeah.
and then it's going to jerk you back this way real hard and all the weights
Mhm.
come off. You might be a little disoriented. You might hurt yourself, but you wouldn't have died, buddy.
Or get this, you had the bar, he was doing, uh, presses,
Right.
bench presses. You had the bar halfway up, just lower it down slowly. Let it rest on your chest, and you'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. Rather
Yeah.
than right above your eyes.
Yeah.
Full extension. Like, come on, buddy. I didn't really
Yeah.
understand that. I
Stupid.
too
It's
was
just
like,
it's just for the
yeah,
dad to die because somebody had to die in this,
Yeah,
I
then at
guess.
least show us one of the bodies because they showed us neither.
No.
So yeah, he drops the weight on his face, and then we hear the doorbell ringing as Cheryl is going through her moment in her head. And then we see her get up. She turns off the water. She goes, she answers the door, gets the food. She looks at the driver. She goes, I know you, right? And he's like, yeah, I think I delivered here. It's a nice house. Like, the hell, lady? Oh, just wait here. I'll get you a tip. I'll get you a tip. And I'm immediately like, they letting her give this dude a tip? Okay. That don't add up. And I'm thinking about Dion, like, hey, yo, Dion, you are a bad kidnapper.
Yeah, he's too busy letting the dad die. He's
Yeah,
too busy
yeah.
killing the dad.
Well, no, that's Carl was too busy killing
Oh,
the dad.
Carl, sorry. Yeah,
But Dion is the daughter. She just was
right.
chilling, had her head reared back because she was
Oh,
kind
because
of
she's
upset that
crazy.
she's absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
But I think she was also upset that her moment was stolen from her by Carl. Because
probably.
she really wanted to play Scrabble. Okay. Um, Cheryl turns off the water. She answers the delivery and comes back. Never goes back to check on Ian. She checked on Ian on her way back the first time. He was perfectly fine, but she was startled. But she also realized that Carl was distracted. She goes. She goes upstairs to get her purse so she can give the guy a tip. She comes back with a jacket.
Just in
When I saw
case
the
she got
jacket in her
cold on the
hand,
way to the door.
when I saw that jacket in her hand, I was like, "Why this bitch got a jacket?"
Why
And
why
then
she why does she have all of her purse? Every like
yeah,
she's got her
she got
card
everything.
wallet. She
It's
got the
time to
most
go.
important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, she got the most wallet, phone, keys.
Mhm.
Well, phone's destroyed and she don't need keys because she ain't coming back. But
Right.
yeah, she checks on everybody, make sure everybody's everything. Oh, we can fix this, and when we come back, we'll eat and talk it over. And immediately, I was like, "Don't you let that bitch go towards that door! Don't you let that woman towards that door!" She goes and she does the exact same thing she did at the beginning of the movie, and this is again where the consistency comes in of her psychosis. At least she walks, she's about to pass that. It looks like the exact same mirror. Looks like the exact same mirror. She
Mhm.
looks in the mirror, gets a good look at herself. She goes out the door and closes it, and immediately my jaw dropped. I'm like, no way.
That was the one thing that made me like her. I was like, "You know what? Yeah, get out of there, dude. This
Got
is a
the
bad
fuck out of here.
situation."
She was like, mm. Carl came out. He's like, that was what did he say? That was fun, or that wasn't so bad. And what the?
Mhm.
Uh, and he goes, "Where's Cheryl?" And goes, and everybody just hears the bike start up and.
See ya.
And that's where it clicks out. Oh, Diane says, she grabbed her going to get milk jacket.
Yeah,
Exactly, her going to
yeah.
get milk jacket. Oh, thank you for saying that,
Be
Diane.
quick.
With her saying that, this movie tried to pit, and Neve said it at one point. This movie tried to paint the scenario of, oh, men leave their families all the time.
Oh, yeah, she says that as an excuse.
Yeah.
As an excuse.
Um,
And
they're
the
fucking
answer to
wrong
that
too.
exactly, thank you. The answer to that is we all say they're scumbags for doing that.
Super.
Sorry.
They don't get a pass.
No,
Nobody gives them
no.
an okay for that.
But
You
her
know what I mean?
legit reasoning for leaving her original children is men do it all the time.
Men, and she was like again trying to play the victim. Men do it all the
Mhm.
time, and baby girl, men are wrong.
Yeah,
No need to even try to play the semantic game and like, oh, but
yeah.
men do it. No, 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 no. How? No, wait. How did Maya Angelou say? Not wrong. That's it. Both
Mhm.
sides.
Yeah,
So,
big time.
Neve ain't shit. Cheryl ain't shit, and they both gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, my
And
question is,
Mike now
uh,
says, "Now everybody's a
yes,
stray."
Mike's took it out of my mouth now, and that's why I like now everybody's a straight exactly because they put right on the screen right over after they blink off of them, it's straight to the strays, and it was that exactly is exactly that is exactly what they're alluding to. That now they're all strays, including the fact that Ian is dead. And
Ian is
anybody who
dead,
doesn't think
and
Ian is dead, you're delusional.
yeah, Ian is dead, and what's his name killed somebody.
Yeah, Ian is dead, and Sebastian committed murder, so they all actually have to leave,
Yeah,
like leave, and they're gonna have to leave with Carl and Dion, even though Carl just killed their father.
Right.
There's no other place for them to go. If they stay, they have a lot more to deal with than if they leave.
Big time.
And if they
Uh,
leave,
hey, Vamp, real quick. I
nobody's
have
chasing
to go
them. Uh-huh.
grab something. I'll be right back.
Got you, got you. But yeah, and if they leave, it just comes back to, you know, now everybody's leading the same life, and you have to figure out how to make it. When you're with Carl and Dion, who's simply been making it all this time for themselves, 16, 17 years by themselves, you won't have that much of a hard time, in my opinion, learning how to make it. But it's a different life. So they have to leave suburbia. They have to leave the comfort of everything. In fact, the moneymakers are gone and or dead. So there's no money to be going around. And my theory is that they're all going to become murderers. And the next movie we see is going to be called Stray Murderers or Stray Killers, something of that nature. But overall, this is one of those situations where when the movie ended, all you could do is stare at the screen. Like you're just like, yo, all right, that happened, but well, shit, that was the best outcome we could get. Oh, I didn't see him. So yeah, that's really how I saw the end of the movie. The end of the movie was the best outcome we can get. But the question I have is, does this set us up for a sequel? And will that sequel be called Stray Killers? Oh, Nick, you are back. Cool.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that I don't know if you heard the back end of that rant, but
It should be called Strays 2, The Straining.
the straining.
The
I was saying the
Straining.
sequel should be called Stray Killers or Stray Murderers.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely trying to set up for a sequel. I don't know how in the world it could ever get a sequel, but
I think the sequel would actually do well simply because you will have to explain how these four kids essentially, because they're young adults and they're teenagers still, are gonna make it with no adults. Seeing as how Ian is dead, he's the moneymaker,
yeah.
you know. So,
Hmm.
but Dion and Carl have made it 16, 17 years apparently with no one because Auntie kicked him out.
Right. Who knows?
Diane says more strays. Colon, Mama wasn't there.
Hmm.
And if you know, you know. Shout
Throw
out to Austin
mama from the
Powers.
train.
Throw Mama from the train. Now that was a good
Yeah.
movie.
Yep.
Man, if you've never seen Throw Mama from the Train, y'all need to go ahead and check that out. That is a nostalgic piece for you. Um, I like how Diane, her mama wasn't there. Daddy wasn't there.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. This could possibly set us up for a sequel. I am open to a sequel. I understand that you're not Nick, or why you would not be. I am open to a sequel because it can't be too much more crazy than this shit, and it can't be too. It actually would have to have a better storyline.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah. But again, I just don't know because it seems to me that this movie was really just in service to the critique of white passing people and their prejudices towards darker black people.
they do exist. But I didn't say that.
I understand. I'm not look. That's not mine to comment on, but like that really just seems like what the movie's about, and
Yeah,
I don't know if you can do that again.
I think this is gonna be a crazy take. I don't know if it's a hot take, but this is gonna be a crazy take. I think over in UK, this is probably a bigger problem. Still, like, still more of a prevalent issue. Uh, Interracial hate, like when I'm, and I don't mean like interracial, but I mean like not intra racial hate. You know, light skin versus dark skin, all of that kind of stuff. It never goes away, but it becomes, in my opinion, a little compartmentalized based on what your experiences are. I don't know how that treads in UK, and I think that this movie might give us a little insight into how far behind us on that particular thing they might still be.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know particularly the dynamics, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, all that
And
to
we
say
we
that
know that more passing folk could get a TV job out here than anyone else. So yeah.
right, right.
I'm sorry, you were gonna say something. I realized I did cut you off.
No, no, it's fine. I'm probably just gonna reiterate what I said anyways, but yeah, I'm ready for wrapping this gem up.
Yes, indeed. I want to say right now, uh yes, Mike, that is a time machine reference. Throw Mama from the Train.
Mhm.
Um Oop, I lost my thought.
Now I did it.
Yeah, I lost my thought. I lost my thought. Oh well. But yeah, with that being said, final thoughts. I could go first on this one. Cinematically, I actually enjoyed this, as Nick said at the top. Usually, I'll say things like that at the top, but I also enjoyed that. Um, UK drill rap. I typically listen to it sometimes, like if I'll hear it and it's like, oh, okay, that was cool. A couple of the songs, the hip hop songs that they played in this movie, I was like, whoa, like that one's different. We don't hear stuff like that over here in America typically. And when I would say that, it's like, oh yeah, he got a flow, he's saying something, but he didn't sound like Inspector Gadget trying to rap. Sometimes that shit's just funny, but it didn't, it wasn't that. As well as the style choice. I don't know if they chose to make it a Pleasantville type thing because she was going from the inner city to the suburbs, because they never really showed us the inner city. I don't know if they were just, playing into the having money and the prep school situation or any of that, but I thought that was very well done, because by doing that, it made it so simple to just add Carl and Dion in, and they were going to stand out in this setting, or in this set, this environment that's been built no matter what. I thought that was cleverly done. Aside from that, yeah, more discussion needs to be had before I can really compliment too many other things. With that being said, my rating on this is going to be a 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am, there were some cinematic shots, some framing shots that I liked. So I can tell that the director actually has an eye for cinema. There were some perspective changes within the lenses and within the screen that were kind of interesting. Like, so the Cheryl portion was in like a 4x4 square, and then it widens out when you get to the suburbs, which kind of represents the urban sprawl. Which is decent. So the director knows what they're doing as far as visual storytelling is concerned, but I wonder why such a ham-fisted story filled with sort of cliched metaphors,
Hmm.
um, when I can recognize that they had the talent to sort of understand how cinema can be made.
Right.
This feels like you could have let this bake and maybe had something better in the future, but it feels like you just wanted to put something out that is touching on hot button issues and will get kudos because it touches on hot button issues. And I don't really appreciate art that does that, where it's like, I'm going to address something because it's, you get pats on the back for addressing it.
Right.
No. If you have something to say about it, that's totally fine. But I feel like the only message this has to say is that
We know this exists.
anybody who isn't living in an inner city is not black.
Yeah. And then yeah, to me it definitely painted the like, hey, we know these kind of things exist. And it's like, no, what exists? Like you're not giving
Yeah,
us a clear thought of
right.
what exists. So yeah,
Exactly.
I see exactly what you're saying. I see exactly
So with that said, I think I'm going to give this a 2. Yeah, I don't really enjoy this all that much. I think that I'll give it a point for some of the music, and then a point for the cinematic
cinematics.
framings, because I think that the director does know how to shoot a movie.
Hmm.
I just think that they got way caught up in something that is only surfacely interesting and really isn't, like you said, it isn't crystallizing a message that we can have a
Right.
conversation about. It's kind of like pointing at things around the problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If
Yeah.
they had have had even just a portion of this discussion thoroughly, I would have given it higher than a 4 or 5. And that's
Hmm.
why I had to plateau it. Like a 4 or 5 for this movie feels like a 7 for this movie.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
because you made me do too much work.
Yeah.
Too much. And a lot of movies make me work because I enjoy it. But we had to string together some things, like even forgetting certain things that happened, like Sebastian committing murder. Like how that should
Right.
not be something you forget, but that's how poorly conveyed it was.
Hmm.
Uh, Big Mike says this is a 2.0 and he wants his money back, but he did like the ending.
Yeah.
So
Like the ending. If you're like me, Big Mike, you probably chuckled at the ending when she walked out. because
Like,
that's the only time I laughed in this movie.
oh, that was your
Yeah,
giggle moment.
that was my giggle moment. I was like, oh, of course she left. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. No, when she left though, it made sense because that's who she is.
Hmm.
You can't make somebody be somebody different. In fact, I was proud of her when she left. Ooh, I hate I have to say that, but I was. It showed us some consistency in the movie.
True. Yeah, yeah. And you're put in a situation where your husband just got murdered and your
Hmm.
kids are on the side of the murderers.
Hmm.
So
Because they are
what are you gonna do?
definitely not going to be on your side after you caused their father to get killed. Is how they going to look at that.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And you left this psychopath behind like you didn't know what was going on. Also, I think the sequel could also lend a little bit of thought into the whole psychological process because Neva's or Cheryl's still out there. So they all four of them can now go and find mom and try to figure out like, all right, why are all of us so mentally fucked?
Well, I mean, you can only imagine that the follow-up would be something akin to like Kill Neve, like Kill
Ooh,
Bill, but they're just gonna have to try to track down
I like
Neve.
that.
Every time they find her, she's got a new family, new
Hmm.
set of kids.
I wonder how many years would pass between this one and the next one.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, and before we close out, I did appreciate the one time that she was the lady in the diner, her friend was telling her like, you haven't aged a bit all this time, and you realize it's been like 16 years, and it's like, that was that black don't crack moment.
Yeah, of course,
She
of
didn't deserve
course.
that.
All of the cliches were thrown out into the air. Some of the noodles stick to the wall. Most of them didn't.
I'm about to say they were very undercooked.
They were undercooked.
Very undercooked.
Yeah, under more raw than al dente. There you go.
Well, indeed. This has been our review of 2023's The Strays, currently streaming on Netflix. Go ahead and check that out. The movie's only been out about a month. Um, you might like it, you might not like it, but if nothing else, you'll have something to contribute to this discussion that we just had here on the Screen Time Continuum. By all means, please remember, we have a lot of things going on through the week, and we would love for you to check them out. So, when you get a chance, go ahead, take a view at your screen, and you're going to have a catalog. See, now we have it where you could just screenshot it. Take that screenshot, send that to your friends. Let your friends know, like, hey, on Tuesdays, this is what we're doing. On Wednesdays and Sundays, this is what we're doing. Tuesdays and Thursdays, this is what we're doing. And on Fridays, this is what we're doing. And then on Saturday, we're going to do this. And then we all going to convene together on Monday and talk about what we listened to. And we appreciate you guys for doing that. You know why? Because we enjoy doing these shows. So if you enjoy listening, we just gonna keep doing them for you. We appreciate that. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and by all means, be good to yourself. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan.
And I'm Nick.
Indeed, thanks. Oh, wait, I just remembered.
Yes.
We dropped the ball. Do we know what we might be doing on Wednesday?
No, because I dropped the ball.
Oh,
and it's
dang
for
it.
Sunday. So I'll let you guys know. I'll post it on the community
right,
page.
for Sunday.
Yeah, for Sunday. I still got to look. We're kind of in a limbo phase right now. So
Yeah.
as soon as I find something, I will post it on our community page on YouTube. So be sure that you're subscribed so you get a little notification when we post onto that page. Yeah.
Yes, if you are not on our YouTube and you are not subscribed, you will not get that. And we will be very sad to not have you guys participating in the next episode when it is live. But we encourage you that if you do miss our lives, to again, check everything out. There's always going to be a backlog for every single show that you saw in that little screenshot you took. That card will be there for you. Every show, we will have it up. We appreciate you guys.
We have 202 podcasts up on our page. So, there you go. 500 hours of content.
That's right.
Think you can handle that.
Hey, listen, if you can't handle that, break it down into some segments and figure it out. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan.
And I am Nick.
Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you on Sunday.